GM James Jones, in my personal opinion, has made some questionable decisions for the Phoenix Suns, regardless if it's trading for Bradley Beal or not making some trades. And we're going to be looking back at a story from a little while ago revolving around Myles Turner, in which James Jones apparently declined trading for Myles Turner when the Indiana Pacers offered Deandre Ayton that max offer sheet. Now, obviously, it changes things for the Suns in their direction. Would they have been able to get Kevin Durant? Would they have this roster flexibility? Most likely not. So we're going to be diving in and looking at how that would have affected the Suns' future and how it would have affected the team right now. All of that and more on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. But before we dive in on all of this Suns news, 94% of you guys who watch our videos are not subscribed. And CJ and I really appreciate that number dwindling down. But if you guys want to make sure you stay up to date on daily Phoenix Suns content, hit that subscribe button, as this is the hub for you guys, and we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. But without further ado, let's dive into the topic at hand today. Make sure to grab a snack, as it's going to be a jam-packed episode. And like I mentioned in the introduction of the video, James Jones, ... Now, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of James Jones. He has done some moves that have made me, lighten my smile up and actually make me feel happy. But last offseason, he made a dreaded decision, trading for Bradley Beal. And I know that Beal had the no-trade clause, could have decided where he wanted to go. Phoenix was one of those top destinations. But my honest opinion, looking at a roster of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, obviously with this new CBA and these new rules, you're already going to be basically paying them $100 million. Why would you want another $50 million contract player with a no-trade clause on your team, especially when Booker and Kevin Durant are all offensive, and he is also offensive as well? So we want to dive in and look at this. We can look at this tweet from Evan Cedery. Monty Williams pushed for the Suns to trade Deandre Ayton for Myles Turner when the Pacers offered a max contract in restricted free agency. GM James Jones was adamant about not trading Ayton for Turner. After the next season, obviously, Monty Williams was fired, and Ayton was ultimately traded anyways to the Trail Blazers. Now, in my honest opinion, when they were discussing this, when they had these talks, when he signed that extension, when he signed that contract, that offer sheet with the Pacers, I thought it was done for Deandre Ayton. I was expecting Deandre Ayton, Tyrese Halliburton to be this new 1-2 core punch in Indiana, this new young core group. And getting a guy in a sign trade like Myles Turner would have been fantastic for the Phoenix Suns. Would have been a guy who could have had a plug-and-play guy, could have really helped in with this roster, with Mikal Bridges when they still had him, with Cam Johnson when they still had him, with Devin Booker. And this team would have been a rock star lineup, in my opinion. Myles Turner, CP, Devin Booker, Bridges, Cam Johnson. That's a really good starting five. And let's not forget to mention that the Pacers had other contracts as well. I don't necessarily know what they fully would have given up, but we would have gotten some other role players would have helped us out. And maybe not in this, really, really taxing, gleaming look that we're in right now. But kind of to look at and kind of evaluate, would have been, this been a smart deal for the Phoenix Suns? Was this been a good decision? Let's kind of look at this averages for these players. So Myles Turner, obviously, this season with the Pacers, now obviously playing with better players in a different team, averaging 17 points, career high, 6.9 rebounds, 1.3 assists, on 52% shooting from the field, 36% shooting from three, and 77% from the free throw. Now, obviously, Pascal Siakam came in halfway through that season, kind of helped, alleviated some of the pain and the pressure down low. It lets Myles Turner be a little bit more spacious, let him be a little bit more defensive player. This is alongside offensive, regardless of what Pascal is doing. Ultimately, it lets him to grow. We want to look at what Ayton has been doing for the Blazers. Now, obviously, 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 1.6 assists on 57% shooting, 10% shooting from three, and 82% from the free throw. So really, really works from three-point range. But Ayton, still kind of developing, still blossoming into that piece. But if you look at what the Suns got, they got Jusuf Nurkic, who was a solid, contributor for this Suns team. But let's look. 10.9 rebounds. He is getting older in age. He did do better on the rebounding category, 11 rebounds and better on the assists, better at the field goal percentage, but three-point percentage goes down, free throw percentage goes down, and ultimately, I don't think that Jusuf Nurkic would have been the best fit as a center. In my honest opinion, when looking at Myles Turner, I think he checked all the boxes for what the Phoenix Suns need. Rebounding, spacing, scoring down low would have been a key contributor. And then, even if they look to do those trades for Kevin Durant still, even if they look to move off of Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and all those picks to get a guy in Kevin Durant, your roster would have been CP3, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Myles Turner. A really, really good four. And I think that Myles Turner really excels and truly shows he can be his best player when he is that fourth best contributor on this team. I think on a team, that's what he needs to be his best for the team, to have his best success. And I think Myles Turner could have been that with the Phoenix Suns. And then obviously they would have had some more trades, some more dilemmas, more problems, because they would have moved off CP, they would have moved off Campaign, the Ayton contract would have been gone, the Ayton issue would have been no problem. Now, when we kind of look at Myles Turner's playoff stats as well, as we all know, the Pacers are in the Eastern Conference Finals taking on Game 1 tonight. We can see in the playoffs, he also has been doing really, really good. Around 18 points, 6.5 rebounds on 2.3 assists, with half a block per game. Field goal percentage shooting around 51%, 3-point percentage shooting around 46%, and free throw shooting around 71%. Ultimately doing solid with 85 total rebounds, 30 assists, 7 steals, and 23 blocks for this Pacers squad. What I see out of that with Myles Turner would have been exponential, would have been fantastic, fitting in seamlessly with this Suns team. It would have been a great construction. Ultimately, I am very frustrated at James Jones for not doing this deal and not trying to get this, because ultimately, what did Jusuf Nurkic really bring to you? Another tradable contract and a possible move. But so would have Myles Turner. And Myles Turner could have been a better tradable contract, a better player with better value, and ultimately a player that you most likely wouldn't even want to have to move on off of if you're the Phoenix Suns. Ultimately, you would have kept him alongside Devin Booker, alongside Kevin Durant. Maybe you would have moved CP still for Brad Beal, and still this roster would be looking better than it is. Myles Turner, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, yeah, there'd still be some flaws. There'd still be some, things that wouldn't be working out. But Myles Turner would still be a better fit, in my personal opinion, for what he can do for the Phoenix Suns and what he has been able to do for the Indiana Pacers. I truly think that he would have been a diamond in the rough, a perfect blend, a perfect gemstone to find if the Phoenix Suns had done that trade. And I'm kind of furious at James Jones for not doing that. One, obviously not moving off of Deandre Ayton when his value was the highest, when you could have gotten the most value from him. And two, for trading for Bradley Beal. Ultimately, I think that has kind of screwed the Phoenix Suns now, obviously, as they are so deep into the second apron, and with these new CBA restrictions, they might have to salary dump a Jusuf Nurkic, or move around the edges with Nazir Little, or with David Roddy, which CJ and I have mentioned in a plethora of our videos, so go check those out. But like I mentioned, it would escape you from moving around these edges, working around these fine, thin lines, and ultimately having a real core 4 that you could look towards, or core 3 if they don't do that Bradley Beal trade. And then some more roster flexibility. I think that this team would have looked better for the future. Maybe could have saved some of their draft picks, but ultimately, that bush is burned. Myles Turner is going to be staying with the Pacers. There's going to be no moving off him for this foreseeable future. And the Suns wouldn't be able to trade for him anyways. They have no contracts that are tradable, nothing that can match to even get it done, and no value in draft capital to even try to acquire Myles Turner. So GM James Jones, the ship has sailed for acquiring Myles Turner. It's A-okay. But as we know, the Suns still going to have to make some moves around the edges. The Suns are still going to have to teeter around with some of these salaries. And we're going to have all that news breaking down for you. All of that here on Suns Digest. If you guys are not already subscribed and you're at this point in the video, hit that subscribe button as we're trying to push for 1,000 subscribers. And this is the daily hub, the daily place for you to digest and get all of your Phoenix Suns news. Like I said, I'm Bruce Veliz. I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode here on Suns Digest. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and go Phoenix Suns.